right now. Should be going live in a second, about 5 seconds or so. I'm going to send out a tweet. So we got that. We're going live there. So that's perfect. Let me just check to make sure it is. All right, we're connected. We're good there. It is now streaming. Okay, so perfect. All right, so I think we will have probably a little bit of late stragglers, but welcome everyone to Chess and Chat episode 6. I am back from the dead after last week being absolutely crushed with some sort of COVID or whatever the hell it was. I don't know. I was absolutely dead last week. So we're back now with Mike Alfred, and he is really on the board of both Eaglebrook and Iris Energy, an engaged value investor, as well as does a bunch of angel investing. And really, he's founded a couple companies in the past as well. And I mean, Mike, maybe to end the kind of the brief intro there, would you also say you really consider yourself a Bitcoin maximalist as well?
No,
Okay.
definitely not a Bitcoin maximalist. I mean, most of the people who say they're Bitcoin maximalist only own Bitcoin. And I view Bitcoin as a very important part of a portfolio, but I don't think it's the only
Yep.
building block for a portfolio. I also own some Ethereum, right, which I've set out, on multiple podcasts
Yep.
and whatnot spaces over the years, and a couple of other things, right? Like I bought like one Yearn finance token during DeFi summer. I guess it was at least a year ago now.
Yep.
A year or two ago now, and just held on to it. I'm a long-term value guy, so when I see something that's interesting, I want to hold it for 5 years or more.
Absolutely. Alrighty. So we'll get started then with the game here and get to some questions. So I will start the game off here. I'll move first, and then I think once you really move first as well, I will kick off the first question here. And we're live now. We have a couple of viewers. So if you'd like to ask any questions as well, anyone watching live, just drop it in the chat, and I'll try and get to it. So let's see. I'll move here again. So let me maybe start with this. How and when did you first really get into crypto?
I think it was sort of 2017, early 2017. I'd basically been ignoring crypto for a while, like not wanting to engage too much. I was more of an equities guy, right? And then the price action basically forced me to learn, right? So I started to see, frankly, I should have bought a whole bunch of Bitcoin in 2016 in the fall because I just had a liquidity event. And I briefly considered like putting $1 million into Bitcoin at like $800, and I didn't do it. Obviously, that was a big mistake. But later, I started to do more work, right, and do more research on how the space worked.
Yep.
And I realized that hey, there's a lot of opportunity here, right, to build kind of the future of finance and to Bitcoin in particular to be kind of the sound money for the future. And I said, hey, this is something I need to really get engaged with, and so that started me down the kind of rabbit hole, right, of getting into Bitcoin and crypto more.
Gotcha. Alrighty, so let's see here. All right, we'll make a couple moves here. No sacrifices yet. I think I'm going to go a little bit aggressive here. So let me go to this next question. Do you think toxic maximalism is really good for Bitcoin? I know this is a little bit of a controversial question, but your thoughts on that?
I'm of two minds, right? I think people who are really adamant and excited about Bitcoin and want to defend it and support it are great, but I think when it bleeds over into being exclusionary, right? When it bleeds over into canceling people, right? When it bleeds over into kind of racism, sexism, harassment, which I've seen quite a bit, particularly on Twitter. Then I think at that point it can become somewhat destructive, right? And so I'm not like a huge proponent of like the toxic version of maximalism, because I think I think Bitcoin will be fine without it, essentially, in the long run,
Gotcha.
because I think Bitcoin's already won.
Gotcha. And maybe do you want to speak to kind of that point as well? Why do you think really that Bitcoin has won?
I think Bitcoin's the best right sound money that's ever existed. Right, I think it basically does money better than any other money in history, and um, because of that, it doesn't really have any competition. And you know, there are other monies like gold, right, which is a great store of value throughout history that have features that make it a better place to store wealth, right, than fiat currencies. But I would say Bitcoin is better on almost every dimension, right? It's more divisible, it's more transportable, right? It's right. You can use it digitally, instantly, right? It's accepted. It can be accepted anywhere that somebody has a mobile phone. The network is easy to access. It's easy to verify, et cetera, right? And so I don't think there's anything else like Bitcoin in terms of its role as money. I think there are other tokens, right, that have carved out niches doing other things, but I'm pretty certain that there's only going to be one Bitcoin.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Now we're a little aggressive there. We'll see how that pans out. But I would love to get really your thoughts on. I don't know if I've ever heard this, but would love to get your thoughts on Bitcoin becoming legal tender in El Salvador, as well as other countries potentially adopting Bitcoin as their national currency as well. I'd love to get your thoughts on that.
I think right, El Salvador is a great experiment. It's the first country to make Bitcoin legal tender, which I think is a pretty big deal in a lot of ways, right? So uh, I expect that more countries will do that right over time. There's a long list of countries. People have been talking about Turkey and Tonga and Russia and Guatemala and Honduras, and so I think it will incentivize countries that need a way to get off basically the U.S. Fed rail, right, where they can be easily censored and embargoed, and they can be right. They can there's all kinds of economic sanctions and whatnot that you could be subject to if you rely on the dollar. And I think more and more countries are going to want to get away from that system. And so I think we'll see more. Right. I think El Salvador is just the first of many that are
Gotcha.
coming.
Gotcha. Let's see here. A little bit of an interesting game so far. Um, let's see here. Let's see. Let's go to maybe the next question here. I think this is a great question. Mike? What do you think about the current state of crypto right now?
Um, in what sense?
I would say maybe in the funding environment, adoption. You could even go to NFTs. I don't know the emergence of NFTs in this last year. Bitcoin
Yeah.
obviously being adopted in the last. I mean, just so many things happened in the last year. But now we're in 2022. Uh,
Right.
I don't know. I think it's a very broad question, but I think you can take it any way you want.
Well, I mean, it feels like there's been like a Cambrian explosion,
Yeah.
right? Of all kinds of new and interesting, um, technologies and new and interesting tokens and chains and whatnot. So I think it's probably one of the most exciting spaces in history at one of the most exciting times
Yep.
in history, because we have all of these exponential technologies compounding on top of themselves, right? Creating all these new opportunities. And, I think DAOs are really interesting. Like having this decentralized sound money is great, but also having decentralized organizations that are fully autonomous, right? Seems like a really interesting opportunity to me as well. So I just think there's a lot more coming. and we may be, this may be like 97, 98, 99 internet and not like 2005 internet. And there may be a whole bunch of consumer use cases that most people can't even visualize yet.
Yeah.
And so that's exciting, right? That seems like an exciting opportunity. If you're a young entrepreneur, you probably want to be active in this space.
Absolutely. No, I think I'm I would say of really the same view. I think just really just some of the founders, the companies that I've seen just in this past, I don't know, 3, 4 weeks are incredible. The different DeFi protocols, NFT platforms, all that sort of stuff, I think is incredible. And I think over this next year, I think there's going to be a number of different areas or sectors that are really going to explode. I think I've asked this question to really, I think almost every single guest I've had on this podcast, as well as I think in private. Just a lot of different people, from founders to GPs to all that, just generally smart people. But here's the question: I feel like 2020 was really the year of DeFi. 2021 really the year of kind of layer one / NFTs. What do you really look at 2022 as the year of?
I mean, if everything goes well, it could be the year of the DAO, right? Where a lot of people have wanted to start DAOs and they're excited about DAOs, but we need to find people who can actually run them, right? I don't know if you've seen what Larry Sekurnik, former DCG guy, worked directly for Barry Silbert, doing investing for them. He left and started this company called Reverie, and literally all they do is help these DAOs actually run and function, right? Because at least initially they need some sort of adult organization and management, whatever. But the goal long term is that they would be able to run, more completely autonomously.
Yeah.
No, so I'm excited by things like that, right? I think if that actually happens, then that whole space could develop and surprise a lot of people.
No, I think it really could as well. And that's really, that answer is what I've gotten really for the most part. I think about 50% of people have really answered kind of DAO tooling. And then second, kind of 20 to 30% of people in the GameFi / P2E space. And then you have maybe third, 5 to 10%, you have really photo / music NFTs. And then after that, it kind of gets split up between continued layer one dominance, as well as layer two scaling solutions, ZK rollups, all that sort of stuff. So I think DAOs are incredibly interesting. I think there's a lot that still needs to be worked out on that front, from the regulatory to legalese, all that sort of stuff. Because even looking at something like the Constitution DAO, which I think was incredibly exciting, like legally, there's still stuff that really under the surface is like, it's not just GM and WAGMI. I mean, I would love it. I would love it for it to be like that, but it's just really not sometimes, especially when you're coming to legal stuff. So I'm excited. I'm really excited for that space. I think a lot of stuff is going to be built out over this next year. Incentives need to be really put in place for contributors, all that sort of stuff, and then it'll be worked out. But this year will be exciting. Let's see here. I'm kind of in a corner here. I'm not really sure what to do. I mean, there's plenty of moves, but let's see here. Man. I think I'll just move here for a second. We will see. Okay. Let's go to another question. Now, Mike, did you want to touch at all on stock stuff, or did you want to keep it to crypto? I would love to keep it to crypto, but we can.
I mean, I spend probably more time on stocks than I do on crypto.
Gotcha.
So I think it's totally reasonable to talk about either.
Okay, so then let's talk a little bit about stocks. We'll switch gears for a second. So then obviously I asked the question about what do you think about the crypto markets right now? What do you think about the equities markets right now?
It's been interesting, right? There's been this huge transition from growth to value that started actually this time last year, but most people weren't paying attention. Peloton was like $160 a share, right? At one point, 160, 170, right? Zillow was 200. Zoom at some point in the fall of 2020 was like 550 or something, right? Like all these companies were wildly overvalued, and there was this belief that I heard way back in 99, 2002 that like these companies are going to go up forever because it's the future. It can be the future, but investors always lose money along the way. That's the piece that a lot of kind of beginner investors don't fully understand. And so it's been a rough year for growth investors, but obviously growth is not over forever, right? It's just temporarily getting compressed on valuation, and that can happen it can happen for a while, right? That can sort of go on for a while before it gets better. And so if I was a growth investor, I would be focused on how can I protect the parts of my portfolio that can be preserved, right? I don't think buying equities that are trading at 20, 30, 40 times sales after they've gone down 30% necessarily is a winning strategy, because once those valuations start to compress, they can compress for a really long time before it gets better. And so I would continue to look for value. And I know it makes me sound like a boomer to some people, but I really don't care, because I'm really all about just making money over long periods of time. Like I've been very clear about this. I like healthcare, right? I've talked a lot about CVS, right? I started talking about CVS when it was 50 something dollars a few years ago, right? Now it's 108. It's still trading at 12 or 13 times earnings. I really like Bristol Myers Squibb. I really like Merck. Recently, a growth name that has a value tilt to it because it's trading below its historical multiple is Vertex. I think Vertex, last time I checked, was up today. Again, it's been up on a lot of the red days recently. So I think that value rotation concept and going more towards healthcare, staples, and energy, and less towards sexy, disruptive software technology is going to be the way to go. And I think it could go a lot longer than people think, because growth's outrun value for 10 plus years now in this prolonged Fed-induced cycle that never ends. But eventually, when it does end, there will be pain, and there could be quite a bit of pain. So I think people need to protect their portfolios to the extent they can.
Absolutely. So is that really a sector that you're really focusing on over this next year? Is really healthcare?
Well, I own those companies, right? When I make an investment in a company like CVS, my goal is to hold it for 10 or 15 years, right? And so, in a way, it doesn't really matter that much to me what it does in any given year. So it's not like I'm focusing more on it. When I bought it, I thought it was very cheap. Yep. Now I just think it's cheap relative to the market, and so I did the work when I decided to own, right? When I decided to own it in the first place. My view on it doesn't really change. Yep. Based on what the market did more recently, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see here. I haven't been in a chess situation at all, so I'm just like looking at this board and I'm like, huh.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't know.
It doesn't look familiar to me at all.
I know. Take your time. I think I really started doing this. I want to say. So I think this is really the sixth episode. I think about 2 months ago, I just did it randomly. Not even a podcast, just with a random founder, impromptu. It was incredibly organic. Had a lot of fun. I thought it was almost like Hot Ones or comedians in cars getting coffee, just having a chat while doing something. I thought there was really something there, and obviously decided to turn it into a podcast. But it is a little bit more difficult to do while you're really chatting, though.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're not good at it. Like, I think if we were playing No Limit Hold'em or Omaha, I could literally play you 3 games and have the conversation. But for chess, I'm just sitting here looking at this board. I'm like, what did we do here?
I know.
This does not look like a board that I'm used to.
Seriously. No, seriously.
Used to seeing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, hence my like 4-20 record. I'm pretty poor at chess, but I have a blast playing, as well as poker. It's always just a blast playing. All right, so maybe we'll stick to one more question, really on stocks. This will be maybe a great question for some beginners that are maybe watching live, as well as potentially in the future. Someone that's maybe getting into the stock market just right now, what's one tip you would get them? I'm sorry. Let me actually restate the question. Um, Maybe for someone that's entirely a beginner, what's one tip you would give them right now?
I would say actually learn how to do fundamental evaluations of companies, right? A lot of people got into markets over the last few years because it was fun and exciting, and right, people were talking about meme stocks and all this stuff. And I think what we've seen, recently is that like valuations do matter, right? If you overpay for companies, you're unlikely to make money in investing, and so that has nothing to do with right like how cool the company is or how good the technology is or any of that, right? And so I think there's just a fundamental need to actually understand companies, pay the right prices to own those companies. And starting valuation matters. I guess it's at a high level. Starting valuation matters more than anything. And so you could buy the best company in the world, right, at the wrong price and lose money, and you could buy the worst company in the world at the right price and make money.
Absolutely. Alrighty. Let's see here. Okay. So let's see. You're getting a little bit more aggressive here. So let's see. Okay. So I just asked you. Let's revert back to crypto a little bit. So let's see. I just asked you really one tip for someone getting into really the stock market. What about one tip for someone getting into crypto right now?
Um, I think Bitcoin has to be foundational to your portfolio. So I think the first and most important thing is to there we go. I like this. I like this. I like you pinned me here in a corner,
I know.
and it was so easy. You're just. I can tell you've been playing a little bit, and you could probably tell I haven't. You're like, this guy, what is he doing?
That's totally fine. That's totally fine. We're having a blast though. We're having a blast. So I guess just back to that question. So you would really say to start, your kind of one tip is just get started with Bitcoin and then kind of go from there. Take it easy. Is it overweight on Bitcoin? Um,
I think that learning Bitcoin first is like a foundational first principle for understanding crypto. If you don't if you don't have any understanding of Bitcoin, then jumping straight into NFTs and things like that, I think is going to be counterproductive for most people.
Yeah.
Right? It's just not. It's you're going to get sucked into the kind of the mood of the day, whatever people are excited about, and you may learn a lot and have fun. Like I encourage people to explore, and one of the first things I did was like when I first started buying these things back in 2017, is like sending them around to different wallets and setting up the hardware wallet and using different exchanges. And now you can set up your MetaMask and interact with NFTs and things like that. Like I think all of that, the tactile understanding of how these assets work, is super helpful.
Yeah.
And valuable. So I encourage people to just get in and get dirty.
Absolutely. Yeah. Get rugged a few times. Just figure it out. Okay. So let's see. I'm just gonna. I'm just gonna castle here. Um, no, I think that's a great point. So, I think, Mike, I think there's a number of different, I think you have different billionaires or just kind of arguably key opinion leaders or thought leaders that really say you should just try and put 1 to 5% of your net worth into Bitcoin and just see from there. Are you kind of that same really thesis or logic as well, or should you be maybe more overweight in crypto? Especially, I mean, obviously this depends on if you're in your 20s. It's obviously a lot different than when you're about to retire. But I don't know. Maybe any thoughts there on some of the different strategies some of the thought leaders or thought boys have really thrown out there.
Hmm.
Thought men.
Yeah, I I think it's really an individual. It's a really an individual thing. It's really hard to say, like what the best strategy is,
Yeah.
right, for somebody else. And so I generally want to kind of avoid giving kind of blanket advice because I think it's usually counterproductive to do that. But it does seem like it does seem like for a lot of younger people they could benefit from having more exposure, right, rather than less to these assets because this is probably the kind of most exciting uh, place in the world to be at this point. And so if somebody says they want to be 100% in crypto, it's hard for me to argue with that because I don't see too many things in equities that I really like that much.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just, it's if somebody wants to be 100% fine. I think if you have a family and kids and you want to be able to pay for everything so that your family's taken care of, maybe you don't necessarily want to take that much risk.
Yeah.
But again, that's sort of, it's such an individual decision that I hesitate to try to give blanket advice.
Seriously. Yeah, I made a bit of a mistake here, but we will see.
Where's your mistake? I don't see a big mistake.
Well, I think kind of. We'll see in a second. I think depending on where you move the next couple moves, we will see if it was a mistake or not. But I think okay. So let's see here. Do I want to do that? So I could do. Yeah, I think I have to do this. Yeah, so we will see. I think we're really starting to move here. So we'll get to some more questions. Let's see here. Let me ask that. All right. Mm-hmm. I'll wait to ask this next question until you make your next move. Let's see here.
Yeah, it's a tricky spot, right?
You got to take a little time here.
Yeah, hold on. I'm thinking this through because if I do that,
yeah, you then take your time. Let's see here.
Yeah, I think you might have already mated me here.
I think almost.
Yeah, I mean pretty much. Well, maybe I have a.
There's a couple moves. Yeah. Huh. Okay. Let me ask this next question here. Let's see. So I know I already asked the question. Really, do you really think toxic maximalism is good for Bitcoin? Kind of answer that as well. But do you? I mean, even I guess more of a focus on this question. Do you think it's really? Is it a sin to be in really shit coins? When is it a sin? Not a sin to be in shit coins? Is it okay? Is it? I don't know.
There's no morality to crypto. Right? When somebody tries to bring morality into it, then there's something wrong, right? So I don't ascribe morality to it at all. I think you should own the assets that can do the things for you and your family that you want them to do.
Yeah.
So for me, because I'd like to stay wealthy, right? Like I'm not interested in playing like super long shot games, really, right? Like I'm more interested in buying things that I think can go up, right, for sure over time versus buying these kind of really long shot things that could go to zero at any moment. And so it's just like a different way of seeing the world. And because of that, it's not a sin, but I'm not really that interested in owning the kind of so-called shit coins, if that makes sense.
Yep, of course.
Right. And so that's that's kind of that's kind of my view on that. Looks
Yeah.
like you're. It looks like you're kind of. Am I seeing this right? You're kind of like. Let's see. Let's see what happens here.
Huh. I don't really have many. Can't really do that. I need to.
It looked like you had me trapped, but now it looks like you're about to lose a piece.
Yeah, I'm definitely about to lose a piece. Oh no.
This is good. This is a good. This
Unless,
is a good game.
Let's see here. Yeah, this has been a great game so far. I'll move there. I'll get to safety here. But okay, so I think this is.
Are you sure you're safe?
My,
Are you sure you're safe?
oh shit. This is not good. Yeah, this is no bueno. I'm definitely. I have to lose. I have to lose that now. Well, shit. That's not good. I think this is a great next question. Mike, what would you say is the most overlooked part of Bitcoin?
Overlooked part. That's an interesting question. Overlooked part. I mean, because I live in Bitcoin every day, it's kind of hard to think of something that's overlooked. If anything, everything seems overcovered in an extent, like because we all we do is talk about and think about Bitcoin all the time. So I don't know if there's anything overlooked. Did you have any ideas of things that you think are overlooked?
Well, I don't know. Maybe an answer could be wallet count. I don't know. Maybe the community. Some of the key opinion leaders. I'm not really sure. I think I've asked this question. Like what's maybe the most overlooked part of NFTs or overlooked part of general crypto, or really like when I was talking to Brett Harrison from FTX. What's really the most overlooked part of FTX or FTX US really? I don't know. I think you could really go anywhere with that answer. I don't know, adoption rates, mining companies, all that sort of stuff. Maybe really, really smart people in the space.
Yeah, I mean the mining space is probably the area that's kind of most interesting and exciting right now in a lot of ways. So that could be an interesting area to talk about.
Yeah. Let's see
here. I'm just trying to decide whether you need to defend. Do you need to defend?
I got way too many pieces that are stuck.
You've got your queen in an interesting spot. I'm just trying to figure out whether I need to sacrifice my queen now, or whether there's a better. This is where having some
knowledge or some chess experience comes in.
Yeah. I feel like I have a small edge, but I don't know how to press it because I've never seen this situation before, and maybe I don't. Maybe I don't have as much of an edge as I think I do. But I feel like I have a tiny edge, but I'm not sure whether I'm supposed to, leave that pawn there.
Right.
Let's go with the game theory optimized.
Yeah, let's
go with the game theory optimized approach.
Okay. Huh.
And I'll see, because my gut tells me that this will be a messier end game, but I actually have a better chance of winning.
Damn, interesting. I think, All right, so then I think I'm gonna move here, and I'll move to the next question. Um, yeah, I think this is fine. All right, so let's see here. So just kind of on that mining question, I know you're on the board or I'm sorry, not on the board, but I know you've talked a little bit about different mining companies that I think you're involved with. Either through is it angel investing or just advising, general advising. What's maybe most exciting? Oh shoot, what's maybe most exciting about that space to you right now? Just the mining space.
Just the amount of capital going into it, right? Like the space is absolutely exploding with new investments in equipment, new facilities being built out. Like at Iris Energy, we develop all of our own infrastructure, right, from scratch. So it's very capital intensive, but it also means that we control all the assets,
Yep.
right, and have control of the growth trajectory, have control over the power cost, and have everything kind of locked in. And in our case, we're using renewable energy where it's oversupplied in a market. So, for example, in the Panhandle of Texas, where there's quite a bit of energy that is most of the year, like 99% of the time, pretty cheap, right? And then in a very small percentage of the year, there might be a surge, but because mining is intermittent, we can actually turn off the machines during those high cost periods, right, and leave them on during the low cost periods. So I feel like mining can change the way energy works, right? It can use stranded renewables, it can lower the cost, right? It can do so many things.
Yep.
And I'm just excited about where. Okay, this is interesting too now, because if I don't win, right? If I don't win quickly, you're gonna eat up this other side of the board. I need to figure out. I have to figure this out.
Yeah, you really do. You really do. We're both in an interesting spot. I mean, I got stuck pieces. We got a standoff with the queens here. Um, this has gone incredibly interesting here. This has been an awesome game, by the way. I've enjoyed the hell of this.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Maybe a lighter question. It doesn't require as much thinking, but I know you're out in Las Vegas. How do you like it out there? Compared to basically maybe other places you've lived. I'm in Houston, Texas right now. I'm not a huge fan of it. I was in Dallas last month and really enjoyed it.
Isn't there a really nice neighborhood in the West called River Oaks?
I think so.
I want to say it's called.
I think so.
Yeah, I was reading about one of the best investors, Fayez Serafim. Like, he's a value investor that started his career in Houston. Very wealthy, successful guy, but a lot of drama. In his family, and they live in one of those big, magnificent homes in River Oaks. And it seems like there's like a whole crew of interesting people that live in Houston. And love it.
Well, it's really interesting because you have.
I'm just curious.
Well, yeah, I mean, in Houston you have River Oaks, where there's a lot of wealthy people, and that's kind of that area. And then in Dallas you have obviously Highland Park. You know what I mean? You have Jerry Jones, you have Mark Cuban, really, that live in that kind of area. So yeah, I mean, both have plenty of wealth and really nice areas. I don't know. I don't even know what to do now. Oh man, I can't do that. Oh man. I mean, that doesn't really make any sense for me to do. I guess I can. Yeah, I feel like I'm kind of stuck here. Like I said, I don't know. I think I have to do this for right now.
Well,
Oh, that just, I mean, that was a huge
that's
mistake.
yeah, because I mean, you just like basically gave up.
Oh my gosh.
Now you're completely trapped.
I can go back, but no, I mean, that's literally the game there.
I'm surprised because like I said, this is my first actual game in like close to 20 years. I watched some simulations
Yeah.
last night, right? And I actually more than anything, I was just looking at like what is the game theory optimized move at each point
Yep.
along, and just thinking through. And what I realized, like honestly, one of the biggest things I was recognizing last night in the couple hours I spent watching these things is that so much of what I feel like the highest levels of chess is like waiting.
Yeah.
It's very similar to the book I was just focused on with Breedlove in the last podcast we did on the Tao of Capital, and building up your forces and like being patient. And my gut in all these situations is to attack and take pieces because I just enjoy that. But actually, like this game was a good example where like I kept wanting to attack more, but I'm like, no, if I just hang back and wait and amass pieces, like maybe there'll be an opportunity to attack.
Absolutely.
Um,
And I think you could even argue, Mike, as well. You could argue a lot of that game theory goes into poker as well, right? Like just being patient, like
Yeah.
not being on tilt, all that sort of stuff.
the difference is it's not like there's not perfect continuity in the game, right?
Yeah.
So like in chess, it's 1v1, and you don't stop playing until that sort of epoch, that single game is over.
Yeah.
Whereas in poker, like you might play all night with a bunch of players, and you might recognize one of the players is slightly worse, but it may take 8 hours to get into a situation where you can actually extract value, whereas in chess you could extract it in that specific game.
Yep.
And the person they can leave the board, but if they leave the board for too long, they basically give up.
Yep.
Whereas in poker, like the bad player can win chips from you. They can get all in with pocket fives versus kings and win, right? With a 80-20 setup, and then they can leave the game before you can get your money back.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's just frustrating. It's like you did everything you could, but
Of course.
no,
100%. All right, so I will give you the game here. I have to really. I mean, there's no. I mean, it's just really just going to take more time until you're going to take a lot of my pieces and get down to.
I think it's like 2 or 3 more moves.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think it's really 2 or 3 more moves. But I will concede. I improved my record to 4-21. Another.
Wait, you're 4-21.
Yeah, I mean that's basically not on like the recorded ones, but just I think overall it's something like that. I think I'm negative. It is not the best record. But I
didn't watch it. I didn't watch any of your other ones, so I didn't know any. I actually thought you were going to kick my ass.
No, yeah, I think so. This is the 6th one. We've done 6 total recorded ones now, but done plenty of other ones unrecorded with a lot of great people. But yeah, have not had the best record. But I mean, I'm playing with the smartest people in crypto, so what else can I really ask for? But all right, well we'll close up with a couple questions here. Maybe will you be, and this is for people really watching live, and maybe in the near future, will you be kind of at any at Bitcoin Miami, any events in the near future?
I'm going to the Texas mining conference outside of Austin next week. So I'll be there early in the week. I'm speaking on a panel with the CEOs of Rhodium and Hut.
Yep.
I'm representing Iris Energy. I'm an independent board director at Iris Energy, but they've named me a Reg FD spokesperson, so I'll be speaking on behalf of them at a couple of events this year because they don't have a big presence in the United States, even though we're developing a number of sites in Texas. I will be in Miami for sure during the conference, but I haven't decided if I'm going to go to it, actually go to any of the conference events yet. And then I'm sure there'll be a few other ones. I don't honestly go to that many events, right? And some of the events I'm going to this year are more like general financial services and investing,
Gotcha.
not crypto specific,
Got it.
which is really like my bread and butter over the last 10 years.
Gotcha. Alrighty, then lastly, where can really people find you on socials? If there's maybe someone in the audience that's listening live or in the near future that wants to reach out for an angel investment, all that sort of stuff, how do you think they should contact you or follow you?
I kind of went all in on Twitter last June. So I'm just at Mike Alfred at Twitter. I tend to be on there way more than I should be. And I think you remember this, Chad. When we first connected, I think I had like 5,000 followers.
Yep. Yep.
Right? And you had like 20, and I was like, how did you get so many followers? And you're like, well, I just engaged on some like big Elon Musk tweets, and like you're everywhere.
Shit posting, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, 100%.
All that stuff, and you crushed it. And so I was like, shit, I got to catch up to Chad. So
and now
it's
you've
just been a lot
it.
of work.
Yeah, you've
to try to catch you.
Yep.
But it's fun, and I didn't realize how much fun it could be to engage kind of more openly with people every single day. And there's downsides to that too. Like I regularly get attacked by the toxic Maxis for talking about mining stocks or making predictions or whatever. And I just kind of chuckle. It's just all part of the fun of it.
Absolutely. No, I think Twitter's incredibly fun. I think it's incredibly fun when you want it to be. Twitter Spaces, all that sort of stuff, and engaging with people, as well as it can be as really as serious as you want it as well. Just an incredible networking tool. I've had a blast both having fun as well as just networking with some of the best people like yourself. As well as for anyone listening right now, I have Mike Alfred's link to Twitter in the description of this YouTube. So if you go to the description, you can just click on that and go check out Mike Alfred, but he as well as at Mike Alfred on Twitter. And so yeah, Mike, I really appreciate you coming on. This has been really Chess and Chat episode 6. Look forward to the next episode. I'm going to have Jack Butcher from Visualize Value on next week. I believe it's 6 p.m. CST. I will have Jack Butcher on. But everyone have a great day. Have a great Wednesday, and I will